everybody, it's Tessa from Meyer Hatchery, and today I'm going to help you learn how to make your feed go further for your flock. With the cost of feed on the rise, it's important to try to find ways to supplement your flock's diet without going bankrupt. So here are a few ways that you can make your flock's feed go further. The first thing you can do is ferment your feed or your scratch. I'm going to show you how to ferment some scratch because I have a really large flock. When you ferment feed, you're taking what they would eat in a day or two's time and you're soaking it in water for a couple of days so that it puffs up and it starts to turn all of the nutrients into something that their bodies can break down a lot easier. Well, when you have 100 chickens, maybe not 100, don't tell people I have 100, and you have 6 chickens, it's really hard to do that much at one time. So one way that I can do it is by doing a treat snack of scratch. So in this jar, I've got some scratch. I want to make sure that I've got room for the water. So I'm gonna pour some of it out. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna be filling this with water until it covers the scratch. I want it to sink. All right, that looks good. So what's gonna happen is some of the seeds in here, they're gonna start sprouting. So imagine it as, could you eat a pumpkin seed? Yeah, that would be great. But if you let a pumpkin seed start to develop, there's way more good positive stuff in there to be eaten when it starts to form those leaves or the stem. The same thing's happening in here with the corn and the seeds and the grain. When you do it with their food, it puffs it up. It like triples the size and it activates some of those nutrients that the hens need in their diets. So you can use anything that you can cover. So for this, I'm gonna put the plastic top, but you do have to burp the fermentation every so often. And by burp, what I mean is undo the lid just a little bit once a day to let out any of the air or the bubbles that have come up in there, because it could blow the top off if it has too much pressure. So if you have something like this, the bowl of them, this isn't very much scratch in here, but I'm just gonna add water to cover it. And then for this, so that I can't really burp this one, there's no lid for this bowl. So I'm gonna cover it with cheesecloth, and that makes it so that I don't have to burp it. I just have to stir it and make sure that it's properly fermenting. So I'll just take the cheesecloth, and it's only on there to keep bugs or dust or other gross stuff out. So this will go across the top, and I'll cut it to size, and actually it's kind of thin, so I'll probably do 2 layers and I'll rubber band it in place. This is no different from if you're making fermented pickles or sauerkraut or anything like that. So that's one way to help extend your feed. When you ferment, you're actually getting more out of your feed or your scratch. But make sure that you're not feeding scratch as food, because this is not properly, it's not properly fortified for their whole diet. It's a good snack, but it's not a feed. Another way that you can help stretch your feed is by supplementing it. Now, I don't mean supplementing with scratch, but there are some high protein treats that you can give your flock that will be beneficial. Things like sunflower seeds, the black ones, mealworms, black soldier flies. These are high protein things that you can supplement in with your hen's diet, and that will help save on feed. And if you can forage this time of year, it's actually a really great time of year to let your flock do that. You do have to be careful with avian influenza out and about, so make sure that your flock is safe when doing this and that you feel comfortable. But if you can let your flock out right now, it's a good time for them to find seeds naturally in their environment to eat. Another thing that you can do if you can't let your birds forage is to create a fodder tray. Now that's where you start seeds and let the grass grow up through so that your hens can enjoy a green treat any time of year when grass can be grown. Because if your run is anything like mine, there's no way grass is growing in there naturally. The birds would eat it like that. So by creating a frame and allowing the grass to come up through, you can give your hens that treat without having to let them free range. Also, make sure that you're feeding the proper diet to your hens. Don't waste by buying expensive feed that's not necessary for your flock. If you only have chicks, you don't need to be buying pellets or all flock, especially if you don't have a rooster. Just buy the regular pellets and supplement in other ways. When I am buying feed, I'm always looking for exactly what I need. And maybe one of the places where feed gets lost the most is being spilled on the ground. So don't let your flock waste your money. If you have a standalone feeder for your flock, make sure that they're not knocking it everywhere and then that's turning into dust and going away. Because not only does that invite in things you don't want, like mice or wild birds, but it's costing you money for feed they're not eating. So using something like a feeding tray that has the pipes where it's fed from the outside, the tubes come down and they can only eat from that, helps save. Plus having elevated feeders save, because if you put it straight on the ground, your chickens will do the same things mine do, and then scratch it all up and throw it all around. So with these tips, you can absolutely save some money this winter when it comes to your feed. If you try it, be sure to let us know at info@MHYT.com or tag us in your video. And if you have any questions, we're always here to help.